Picking up and knitting is a great technique to add a border or add detail to a project by allowing the stitches to run perpendicular to each other. So you can see in this swatch, the stitches are running vertically, and we will be picking up and knitting along this edge, so we will have stitches running horizontally to these vertical stitches. To pick up and knit, you will pick up the bars in between the stitches, and I have intentionally knit a swatch at a very loose gauge so that it was easy to pull apart and show the bars in between the stitches. So these bars are in between the selvage edge and this first column of stitches. What you're going to do is you are going to insert your needle into the very first bar here. And then with your right needle, you will slip that in as if to knit, and then take your working yarn, which I'm using a different color, so you can see this. We'll just slip that in and knit that stitch. So we're going to do that again right above that first bar. We're going to pick up that second bar by inserting our left hand needle into that bar, and then inserting our right hand needle as if to knit and knitting that stitch with our working yarn. Now we're actually going to leave this third stitch alone, and the reason for that is because your stitches are wider than they are tall, and so if you were to pick up every single stitch, the rows that will be going horizontal would then flare out and be wider than this swatch of vertical rows. If you don't have enough stitches, your swatch that will be going horizontal would then end up shrinking in and being smaller than this vertical. So it depends on the intended effect, and your pattern should tell you how many stitches to pick up. But if it doesn't, the general rule of thumb is that you would pick up 2 out of every 3 stitches. So we are going to leave this stitch, and then we will pick up the one right above that by inserting our left hand needle and then knitting that stitch. And sometimes it can get a little difficult to see where your bars are, but if you pull your needle down kind of like this, then it's a little bit easier to see that here will be my next bar that I'm going to pick up and knit. So I'll insert that and knit that stitch. And now we will leave the next one, and then we will pick up this one. So let me move my needle out of the way so you can see, picking up that one and then knitting with my working yarn. And then we're going to go to the one above that, pick that up, and knit that. And then we will leave that next bar and pick up this one. Some people like to use a crochet hook for picking up stitches, and that's absolutely fine, especially, like I said, this one was intentionally knit at a pretty loose gauge, so it is pretty easy to see and find the bars. But if you're having a little bit more difficult with that, using a crochet hook to pick it up and get it on your needle is perfectly acceptable. However you need to do it to get it on that needle so that you can knit it. So now I'll leave that one, and then I'll leave that one, and then pick up this one, and then we've got one final one there that we can pick up. One's going to be a little more difficult because it wants to go with the bind off row. And there we go. And now we have, you can see a row here that is ready and set up to continue on in the vertical manner. So I will knit a few rows of this and show you what that looks like. So here you can see what it looks like when you have your vertical stitches and your horizontal stitches running next to each other. It just is a nice little effect. Like I said, it's great for borders and different kinds of details. I hope this has helped you with learning to pick up and knit. Now go forth and knit confidently.